Now, I'm going to take a look at I'm going to pick up the contract and act like I'm looking it over. But, so, does this contract cover damages if the building were to be, attacked by elephants with flaming fire elementals dancing around them?
He kind of smiles and says, it does cover damages. He says, but looking at your shop, I don't think there have been any. And he kind of places a hand on one of the shelves and he just gently tips it over.
What? Tips the shelf over?
Yeah, he tips the entire shelf over.
Oh, Mr. Isn't Important. It seems you're also blind and very clumsy. You seem to have knocked over some of our wares, Mr. Isn't Important. Clumsy.
He kind of smiles.
I'm going to ask him, what do those spectacles do exactly?
Well, he kind of looks a little taken aback, and he says, they're just for reading. My eyes...
Oh, but not seeing where you're going?
Because my vision is fine. It's just up close. That's
enough. I gestured to the shelf he's knocked over. Clearly, your vision is impaired. You've knocked over an entire shelf full of wares.
You see him kind of rub his temples, realizing that maybe he bit off a little more than he can chew today. No. He says, "I'm not blind. If you haven't caught it yet, that might have been on purpose."
Oh, Mr. Isn't Important. Yes, I see what you're doing. You're trying to hustle us.
He kind of says, yes, thank you. I often...
Trust us. Octavian is perfectly aware. He's doing this on purpose to you.
Oh, hustle. Well, I'm going to minor illusion some spectacles onto my face. And I'm going to lean up against another shelf and kind of very stressful, like very anxiously kind of teeter on it, like I'm about to knock it over. So, I've noticed this contract doesn't say anything about mental health.
You see him just kind of lean back, and he says, "This isn't going the way I had expected."
What isn't going the way you expected?
Most of the time, people just give me what I'm after, and I leave them alone until it's time to collect again. You seem to be under the impression that I really am here selling insurance.
Are you not? Mr. Isn't Important, are you telling me that you're lying to us?
You watch as he kind of reaches on his belt and pulls out his short sword.
That's a very odd-looking pen. I've never seen one quite like that before. And it seems way too big for this contract, sir.
He kind of takes it and points it in your direction. You see his face kind of change from that smiling, relaxed face to a more stern grimace.
I'll cast Charm Person at third level. Not third level. I'll cast it at first level. Doesn't matter.
All right. What's the save for that?
15. But
Wisdom?
Also, at the same time, I'm going to use my another one of my bardic inspirations to do the unsettling words that minuses a D8 from his next saving throw.
All right. Is it wisdom saving throw?
Yes. It's a wisdom save. I'll say to him, Mr. Isn't Important. You must not understand your namesake.
All right.
You need to subtract a 6.
Okay, so total of 4.
All right. Mr. Isn't Important. You must understand your namesake. You're very in over your head, and threats don't go well over here. I suggest you sit down and cool off for a moment. Actually, instead of sitting down, why don't you clean up the mess you've made?
All right, you kind of gesture, and the magic kind of floats from your fingers and wraps around his head. You watch his eyes glow faintly as he just kind of gets a smile across his face. And he says, of course, what am I doing? And he leans down and he begins to adjust the shelf back to a standing position, and he begins to restock it once again.
I don't know. It seems stupidity is contagious.
Yes, you seem quite confused.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Isn't Important. My friends here have been waiting quite a while for someone from your company to come here and talk to us. And could you be a dear and just take us back to where you're located? Or rather, tell us where it is.
He goes, "Oh, of course.
Of course.
Our headquarters." And he gives you some very brief instructions that not too far from here, there is a building that they use as a temporary headquarters. He explains they continue to move it throughout the month or the year or for whatever time. Every now and then they move so they aren't as easily tracked.
Hugo, does this building ring any bell? I'm not from here, so I don't know.
Probably.
Hugo,
I'm
yeah.
native.
You recognize the address as in the residential district, and it sounds like it's a townhouse that is typically... It's been on the market for some time, so it wouldn't be unheard of for them to have set up shop there temporarily.
How many of you are there at one time?
He goes, well, like myself, there are two others who apply, and he does air quotes, muscle to businesses. But the man in charge, or at least in charge of this section of the city, Kern, he is in charge of this chapter. Not the whole city, mind you. That's another man. I've never met him. I don't even know his name, but the section of this city is managed by Kern.
Would Kern's last name be Null? Mr. Kernall?
I took some psychic damage from that. He goes, I'm not familiar with his last name.
And where is this Mr. Kern at any given time?
Yes.
Hugo, you recognize this name as one of your previous rivals. Another smith in the city who you had some fairly... What's the word? Some fairly harsh words with before you were muscled out of your business.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar with Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern.
He goes, well, I've cleaned up the shelf. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Oh, do we have any other questions we want to ask our little friend here, Mr. Isn't Important?
How heavily guarded is this building?
He goes, well, without me, it's just my two companions, and then Kern himself.
Oh. And you bring so much to the equation. Granted, being you're blind and all, but...
He kind of adjusts his glasses and says, I am somewhat blind.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, if we don't have any other questions we'd like to ask our friend here, I have something very important I'd like him to do. Do we have any other questions we'd like to ask?
No. I'm
Okay.
good. Dante?
Miss...
I'll tell you any questions.
Am I asking questions?
yeah, do you have any questions you want to ask him?
Tell me about the art collection you guys have.
Turtle has a
That's
one-track
exactly-
mind.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
You like art?
He goes, well, we don't keep art in the temporary bases, but I know Kern travels with an artifact or a relic he likes to keep close to himself. He says it was passed down throughout his family.
Sounds right up your alley, isn't it, Dante?
But if it's passed down his family, it's different. It's not like...
Well, what if his family stole it?
Right. That's... Where did his family acquire this artifact?
He goes, well, I'm not quite sure. I've never really talked to the man. He just sends me out on my duties and I collect the money. I don't know him personally.
It's like a random family having, like, fucking,
The Mona Lisa?
yeah, no, like, fucking, who's the lady who flew around the world?
Amelia Earhart?
Yeah, Amelia Earhart's, like, full-ass plane in their backyard. They're like, it's been in the family for generations. It's like bullshit, because we know that belonged to her, and she went missing, and now you have it all of a sudden?
I mean, it's like the truck driver that had the Jackson Pollocks in his
Right?
garage.
Exactly. So, this man, he also runs a shady business. So,
Right.
his family probably stole that artifact.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Watch it be like some sort of like friendship bracelet from their like 5 times great grandfather.
Yeah, and it's like something so blatantly like was made by a family member and has legitimately been passed down through the ages, and we're like,
I
must
just
have been
confirm
stolen.
it with my own eyes.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's the physical Ark of the Covenant, and they're just like, it's been in the family for generations.
Get that in the museum. All right. Okay.
Any other questions we have for him?
That was my question.
All right. Mr. Isn't Important. If you could follow me to the back room, we have kind of a rat problem coming from the sewer, and if you could just go down there and
Oh my
just
god.
take a look for us.
He kind of looks at the hole and he says, "You look him over, and you can see that he might not fit with how large he is and how small the hatch is. Go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage."
Excellent.
Why even make him do it?
I got a 25.
25. He kind of adjusts himself. He takes off his cloak and he says, well, anything for a friend. And he goes over and he starts to wedge himself into the hole as he just slowly pops in. And
I'll
he
kiss
says,
him on the top of his bald head as he goes down and slowly lower the hatch.
he goes, "How many rats do I need to kill?"
Oh, maybe like 30 of them? Be careful, they're like the size of halflings, and they all have knives. And I'm pretty sure one of them is just some dude in a rat costume. He calls himself the Rat King. You won't miss him. He's got the biggest knife, and he wears a tiny little crown.
He goes, "Will do, friend." And he says, "Wow, that is a
Thank
big
you.
rat."
It is massive. I close the hatch, lock it, and try to find the heaviest thing in the room and be like, Mars, help me push this on top of the hatch.
Oh my god. Why do you do this to people?
Because when the spell ends, he's going to be locked down in the sewer.
Okay, but then he's gonna be mad at us and warn.
But he'll be mad
His friend.
but he'll be mad at us down in the maze of the sewer.
He probably has. You should have probably asked him if he had a map for the sewers first, just in case.
Map or not, it's going to take him quite a while to get out of there.
It's what we
Oh!
hope. It's
Well,
what we
we
hope.
also- Hopefully the rats will kill him.
All right. I guess we should go find this house.
Oh, and
As
if like our first day here is any indication, there's probably more than just rats in this city's sewers.
Yeah, good point. There is also the Oblex, or whatever that thing
Oblex.
was. The spunk monster.
As you begin to leave the shop, you do hear some muffled screams coming from your back room. As you lock up for the night and head out into the dark.
As I'm locking the door,
Are they
I'm gonna be
angry
like,
screams or scared screams?
Make a perception check.
Okay.
But then wouldn't that technically be insight? Because you're trying to determine the...
Yeah, I would assume, yes, go ahead and make an insight, not perception.
I got a 21.
21, okay. Anyone else who would like to roll can.
I got a
20. Unnatural 20.
I got a 22.
22.
I
Alright,
got a 17.
you all can tell the screams are screams of combat. More like he's just yelling as he's attacking. He's not being eaten by rats or anything.
Mm.
It's just
Okay.
screams of combat. But you guys
As
can...
As I'm locking the door, I'm going to be like, wow, that dehumidifier that yells the humidity out of the air, such an odd purchase, but, maybe it'll grow on me.
And as you say this and you lock the door, you see across next door, you see Bruno, the baker, locking his shop up, and he just kind of looks at you, turns, and walks down the street.
Hey, I'll make finger guns at him. Hey, neighbor.
He just puts a hand up like he doesn't see you and continues walking.
Okay, bye-bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Busy day ahead of us, being shop owners and all. Okay, bye-bye. All right.
All right. You guys head into the night, heading towards the townhouse.
Yes.
As you go, the streets are pretty empty. Most people have turned in for the night or are heading to taverns to celebrate. It's near the end of the week and only a few more days until the festival, so most people are in a very relaxed mood. But as you make your way to Iron Solutions headquarters, eventually you do find yourself on a narrow street, a side street, with the lanterns illuminating you. And as you make your way down, you do spot the house as described, third one down. And you do see some lights in the upstairs, and outside you see two gentlemen, one half-elf, as far as you can tell, and one tiefling, just kind of leaning back, talking to one another. You can't really quite make out what they're saying at this distance.